Hey everybody, Steve here, and today in this video we're going to be asking the question, what happened to the Korean won? Yeah, it's gotten pretty wild. We got here, we were actually a little bit of backstory. We decided to retire early, so we did that. We spent a year in Hawaii, and then we decided to come to Korea and do our final retire. So we did that, and the exchange rate from the Korean won and the US dollar and all that stuff was pretty good. It was around 1,400 and something. It actually even peaked up a little bit higher, all for the reason of the interest rate and the recession, and the United States raised their interest rate, so Korea raised theirs, so on and so forth. So we're really looking at, a lot of Korean analysts said that the exchange rate was going to be 1,500 won to the dollar, which would be really good for us. Because if we're going to buy a property, we'll get more property for our dollar when we exchange it over to won than the other way around. So a lot of analysts, Korean news analysts and financial gurus and the whole nine yards are saying, yeah, it's going up to 1,500. And then we start seeing the won drop. And it's like, what's going on? It was like, 14 something, and then it got to 14.25, then it got down below that. And now it's really interesting. And so I want to kind of discuss a little bit of why the Korean won exchange rate is dropping, to give you a little inside information, which isn't really inside information, it's just information. And so you don't freak out if you're thinking about coming here and thinking that you lost the opportunity to get a good exchange rate on the US dollar. Okay, so we're looking at right now is the exchange rate is at 1364. That is a little crazy because it has gone down. So it was supposed to go up to 1,500, but what happened? Well, let's take a look at a chart and we can show you what's going on. This is a 30-day chart for the US dollar to Korean won, and down on the bottom you see, October 10th and so on all the way to November 6th. And then on the right-hand column you have, 1370 and all those numbers, and around 1430. And when we got here 1 October, and so the won rate was going up. It even went up to over 1440, and then it kind of hung out here, and then it started going down with and boom, there it is. Why is it doing that? So why is it doing all that? Why is the won going down when it's supposed to be going up to 1,500? And are the Korean financial analysts and other world currency exchange people, are they did they miss it on this one? Well, actually not. But the reason that the Korean won exchange rate is going down and getting better for the Korean economy, here it is. Liberals were in power. The Democratic Party is in power, and they're doing a lot of stuff. And in my humble opinion, as an independent, I don't think they're doing as well as what they thought they were going to be doing. I would, as much as I don't like the orange man, bad orange man, I really like the gas prices and the policies and the things that resulted from those policies of the last administration. There's other things with the last administration I didn't like, but we're not going to get into the politics of the thing. So what is interesting, though, is that the Korean government has seen what is going on in the United States, and they're seeing a lot of states that are turning over. We're seeing seats in the Senate and the House, and they're flipping over to red. Blue is getting a lot of blues getting thrown under the bus, and the blue things aren't working out real well. They're not getting reelected, they're not getting elected. People on the red side are getting elected or reelected, and so on and so forth. So the last thing that I saw is that the Republicans are going to get the House, and there was a slight lead of the Republicans maybe even getting the Senate. So with this news, what we ended up seeing here in Korea that we've been seeing is that the Korean government is like, that's good for us. And so that's why the won exchange rate has gone down. Now, I don't really care what your politics are. That's not the point of this video. The point is that currencies and the exchange rates can go up and down based on what other countries are doing. Obviously, the United States is a world-renowned currency. It is that because of the fact that oil is bought and sold in US dollars. That was an agreement that was made a long, long time ago with the Middle East and so on. That the buying and selling of Saudi Arabia and oil, and if you look all that stuff up, it's really, really interesting. But that's basically how the United States currency became a world reserve currency, is because all oil and petroleum is sold with United States dollars. So it has got its fingers into a lot of pots around the world. So, you've probably heard the thing where it says, when the United States sneezes, other countries catch a cold. At least I've heard that. Maybe you haven't, but I have. But that's really what we're seeing here, and most notably with the exchange rate from US dollars to Korean won. So with all these seats flipping over, and it looks really favorable to the Republican Party for the United States government, for the House, for the Senate, and so on and so forth. Governors, the same thing. We're seeing a lot of red versus the blue are winning, and they're coming on top. So Korea as a whole has taken that information and saying, okay, under the Reds, the Republicans, the U.S. economy does really well. So that's why we're seeing this dip with the Korean won in the exchange rate, is because Korea is seeing that the red states are staying red. There's blue states that are losing some seats and so on and so forth and going to red. So that is the reason for this kind of dip into the Korean exchange rate. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is after this, we're still scheduled, because in November, what we ended up having is an exchange, not an exchange rate, but the interest rate of the Federal Reserve went up. Was it 0.75, 0.5, or 0.75? So the interest rates went up. Here in Korea, when the United States interest rates go up, Korea usually does the same thing. And of course, once they do that, it's harder for people to buy houses and property, prices of goods and services going up, so it's a recession all the way around. But we really see a reactionary response with Korea in what is happening in the United States. Now, and I'm not smart. I'm not smart in any way, shape, or form. Well, maybe with guns and firearms and some other things, but not with this stuff. So I am going off of what I've seen on the Korean news and U.S. news and so on and so forth. Independent news, you can find whatever you want. But it ends up that we will probably have another Federal Reserve interest rate hike in December. So when that happens, what we're seeing, or at least some of the Korean analysts are saying, that when the U.S. charges more and raises that interest rate, the Fed raises that rate up, what we'll see is that the Korean won exchange rate will kind of go back up some more. So, we're at a place right now where it's kind of like, well, do we cash out some dollars and get some Korean won? Because, 14, of course, 14 is 1368 or whatever it was. That's still a pretty decent price compared to what it was a while ago. But we're going to hold off. I don't know if that's good or bad, but we're going to hold off and wait for the next interest rate hike from the Federal Reserve and see what the Korean won does. And then, we'll make a decision on whether we exchange money or not. So anyway, for those people that might be considering moving to Korea, visiting Korea, retiring in Korea, like me and the wife are doing, and you're concerned about the exchange rate, well, those are some concerns. The one thing, though, that is kind of a benefit for those of us who have United States dollars, have a good savings amount or whatever it is that even though the won exchange rate has gone down, property prices are still going down here in Korea. So the Korean government wants to lower the prices of properties because it's getting out of hand. There's too expensive. Everyday people can't afford a property. There's, it's like, well, I can't buy a house or an apartment or a condo or a villa or whatever. And so we're going to stay home with mom and dad, or we're going to rent or whatever. And so the Korean government wants to curb that high price of properties, and they're using this recession to bring everything down to a more manageable level. That's very interesting. Now, why is this a problem in Korea? Well, in the United States, we got a variety of different loan packages. So you could have a 30-year fixed loan. I think they even got a 40-year fixed or whatever. You've got 15-year loans, 10-year loans, and then you have adjustable rate mortgages that, based off the Federal Reserve rate, the interest rate of the United States, and that, it'll be maybe a couple percent over that. So when the interest rates in the United States are really low, like they were before, like almost 0, 1, 2, 3%, having an adjustable rate mortgage could get you more property for less price because the interest rates were low. But the problem is when you have something like a recession and those interest rates go up on that adjustable rate mortgage, you might have been paying $700, $800, $900 a month for your payments, and now that the interest rates have gone up, now you're looking at $1,500, $2,000 a month, and it's unattainable. Most people buy a house or a property more than what they can afford. So in other words, if you qualify for, say, $500,000, most people back in the day would buy the max of what they could buy. Okay, the banks would, they do the numbers and the algorithms and math and formulas, and they figure out, okay, you make this much money, these are your expenses, this is how much that we can allot to be a good loan, a reasonably unrisky loan for the bank to loan you the money. Okay, so once we get to that, it's like, okay, you can go up to this high. Well, most people go that high and they'll buy as much as they can. But on an adjustable rate mortgage, it ends up, okay, so the price is here back when the rates were good, and now that the rates are rising, their mortgage price increases because of the adjustable rate mortgage. Now, with that being said, the background, the same thing is happening here in Korea. What I've seen, and from the articles that I've read and talked with the wife and so on and so forth, is that they don't have like 30-year fixed mortgages. We always did fixed mortgages. We always did a 30-year fixed, got it at a low interest rate, and that way when the interest rates go up in the United States, it doesn't matter. My interest rate is fixed for that 30-year loan. So my interest rate doesn't go up, my payment doesn't go up, my payment is low. Now, the thing that we differed with most other people, that they would buy the very max amount of property that they could, we would buy a little bit lower. Okay, because then we wouldn't have to pay so much, even though it's on a 30-year fix. Then we take that money, we put it into savings, we take that extra money, we pay off the house early, make extra payments on the principal, so on and so forth. So Korea is looking at possibly looking down that road to see maybe we could do something similar as the United States by doing a 30-year fixed loan or some variant of that, a fixed interest rate loan for its citizens to be able to buy property to keep those payments low. Because right now, people can't afford the properties. You have people that have a bunch of condos or apartments or villas or houses, and they bought them when they got as much as they could, but now the interest rates, and now they can't, their house is upside down, and so now they're selling them at a loss. There was an article that we ended up looking at where this property owner was renting out an apartment, and the apartment, it was like, okay, well, here's how much it is. The people that had done their term, they're saying, hey, well, we're going to move and we're going to go somewhere else. Well, these people that owned the property, the landlords, what they ended up saying is, no, please don't move. We will pay you to stay, like a monthly payment. They will pay them to stay in the property so the owners, the landlords, wouldn't lose the property. That's how crazy it can get here in Korea, just because they use the adjustable rate mortgages and all that stuff. So yeah, really crazy times. We've been tracking on Naver real estate properties and apartment buildings and selling of units and so on and so forth. And there might have been like 10 or 11 units for sale. And then all of a sudden it went up to 20, 25. Now it's up into the 40, 50s and 60s at this unit that we're looking at. More and more apartment buildings and villas are being offered for sale because the owners can't pay that high payment because of the adjustable rate mortgages. So even though the interest rate is going down a little bit, we're still in a good position, and you could be in a good position if you're thinking about buying property in Korea, because the property prices are still going low. And especially if it's for you that you're just going to buy it outright, boom, then you got nothing to worry about, because you paid off the loan, the mortgage, the apartment, the villa, the house, whatever it is yours, and now you're living rent free. You got to pay some property tax and your regular utilities. You're saving a bunch of money, and that minimizing of expenses will allow your retirement dollars to go a lot further than when they would before, as if you mortgaged a property. So yeah, that's what's going on. So basically we see the won rate going down. It was like 1440, 1450-ish, somewhere around there, and now it's down to 13 something, 68 or whatever. And I think it's going to go back up. Of course, the Korean analysts, financial experts say that it will probably go up with the interest rate that goes up in the United States from the Federal Reserve. That's going to happen in December. At least that's the word that we're getting so far in the news. And the won should go back up. The exchange rate should go back up. So anyway, that's what we're doing. I just wanted to give a little insight on what's going on, and people seeing the exchange rate saying, hey, wait, why is it going down? And when interest rates are going up in the United States, I watched your video where you said this and that would go up. Well, it's gone down, but it's going to go back up. At least that's what the analysts think here in Korea. So I'm just kind of piggybacking off of them because I'm not that smart. I'm hoping it goes back up. Pretty sure it's going to go back up based off of the research that I've looked at here in Korea, but you never know. You know, life could throw you a curveball, and after all, it's 2022. You know, who would, you know, it was just a short while ago that we thought, you know, plague, pandemic, what the, locking down society, you know, where's your papers, sir, so you can go work? Are you an essential worker? You know, tons of crazy stuff happened in the past, so Lord knows what can happen. So anyway, with that and a wing and a prayer, we're going to continue on with our retirement here in Korea. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, The Varied Life, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace. Make sure you like and subscribe to The Varied Life, and you can see more videos, and we'll see you there. Peace.